Hey everyone and welcome. In our guides, we often teach you a set of missions that are the way to win lane in different types of matchups. What we want to draw attention to this time is how to play dynamic and take shortcuts to reach your overall objective faster when your opponent is playing incorrectly. This time, we'll be reviewing one of our skill cap challengers who has finished top 50 challenger multiple times, Ariana Lovato. He'll be playing a Smurf game in Diamond 3 where he's on a control mage / assassin Zoe up against Leblanc, who's an assassin. As always, even if you don't play these champs or even types of champions, it doesn't matter. You are going to learn how to make better decisions based on your opponent's actions in this guide, among other small tips that you can always expect from us. Let's jump into analysis. Zoe and Leblanc have similar range, but it's not cut and dry. Zoe has higher E range when going through walls and ranged spell interactions with ult, while Leblanc has a dash to get closer to land her spells, but it about evens out in the general laning phase. Damage, they're evenly matched. Both are volatile mid laners who snowball easily off one combo. For wave clear, Zoe has the advantage at all stages, but Leblanc could fast clear with ultimate if she chooses to past level 6. This lane is pretty even as to who should win it. Zoe's angle will be to directly pressure Leblanc while shoving the wave and landing her skill shots. Whereas Leblanc's best choice would be looking to try and delay Zoe's push outside of her turret and set up ganks, as Leblanc's gank setups are insane. The missions Ariana on the Zoe will follow this game are push the wave, harass Leblanc when she goes to last hit, and don't get ganked. Jungle matchup for this one is Nocturne for Zoe and Talia for Leblanc. Let's get into it. Before lane even starts, Leblanc actually scores first blood with a kill onto Zoe's top laner. Not ideal, and Leblanc comes into this with an extra Doran's ring. This won't change Ariana's mission on the Zoe, as he still needs to win the lane on the lane dominant champion to try and carry his team. What it does mean though is that Leblanc has the edge in the 1v1 now, and definitely doesn't need any ganks to win lane if she plays well enough. Skipping forward to the start of the lane phase, we can see that Zoe gets a few autos on the wave before Leblanc arrives. This is a nice start on mission 1. When most players go into lane with the intent on pushing the wave, they use their first ability on the wave, and this time Zoe does not. The reason why is because for mission 1, it's already working. The wave is pushing because of those autos. By saving her ability, Zoe can start on mission 2 right away. Moments later, we see mission 2 come into play. By intelligently holding onto his Q and exploiting Leblanc's lateness to lane to work on mission 1 with autos, Ariana lands his first spell in the game onto Leblanc and not the wave. That was his main goal here, but also hitting the wave at the same time is a very nice bonus. Though this wasn't a harass on a last hit, but he fancied his chances at landing his Q due to Leblanc's exposed position in the lane by the side of her minions. Moving on, minimap awareness tells us that the enemy bot lane arrived late, meaning that Talia almost certainly started bot side. This knowledge will help out with mission 3 later. As these blue melees get low, we can see that he misses a couple of them while autoing, when he could have secured them with his ability. Losing the CS isn't ideal, but he would much rather that than waste his spell to secure them. He wants to gain momentum in this lane following mission 2. A couple of seconds later, he does exactly that, once again hitting Leblanc with his Q, this time as he goes for a last hit. Nice work, and he's gained a 20% health lead at this point, and remember, Leblanc got the first blood and has a double Doran's ring, but is already falling behind. Moving on to the next trade, and we can see that Ariana made a bit of a mistake here as both champions are going for a last hit. He moved a little bit too far forward and got caught by Leblanc's W. A few things to note here are that with this W, the blue wave actually has the larger health and minion count, so Zoe is no longer pushing for mission 1 now. Also, Ariana was still happy to take this trade even though it wasn't ideal, because it's already burnt through Leblanc's first potion, and they dealt around even damage to each other. Keep in mind, Zoe's playing Corrupting Potion, so this health will be easy to heal back up. He looks for more harass and ends up pulling all the way back to secure his last hits, and think about how he wants to manage your minion wave. If you were Zoe here, what would your immediate objective be with how to manage the wave? Alright, so most of you probably said push the wave, since we kind of baited you into that, as this is one of our missions and it's the game plan for Zoe to win lane that Ariana wants to execute on. However, the missions are the general strategy to win in a matchup, and this Leblanc isn't playing well enough for Ariana to respect how the matchup should be played out. Because LeBlanc is constantly pushing up for last hits and to try and trade, but is getting outplayed, Zoe doesn't need to push the wave to harass, at least for now. She can harass just fine with the wave being neutral, and this suits her nicely as there's little threat from the gank for mission 3 as well. Now what we've just said may have you asking two questions. Why doesn't Zoe do this from the start? She's getting her missions done while staying safe from LeBlanc's high threat ganks. And two, what can LeBlanc even do? First up, Zoe doesn't want to go into this matchup trying to freeze. She wants to win the lane and play aggressive. The reason this is working without committing to the push is because LeBlanc isn't trading very well and is doing a bad job with hiding behind her minions to block the Q, which is what Zoe and other champions who get their main ability blocked by minions like to do. They like to push so that they can't get blocked by the minions. Because LeBlanc isn't forcing Zoe to shove to the tower to land easy harass, Zoe can skip this time consuming process, at least for the time being, and just go straight for the harass, using orders on the wave and spells on the enemy champion. And to answer the second question, LeBlanc needs to be trading back more actively and using the minions to block more effectively. We'll highlight one example of this in just a moment. So we can see Ariana continue the trend of saving his spells for trading, and he actively orders the wave to thin it, because while he's not focused on pushing, he doesn't want this wave to get out of control and build up to the point where he cannot win trades. And right here is how LeBlanc can do way better, and is why Ariana doesn't have to push to harass right now. LeBlanc is positioned to the side of her casters to score this last hit, allowing Zoe to execute on mission 2 once again. If she was behind these casters, it would be much easier to dodge or block. Also, LeBlanc doesn't shoot for one of our recent active missions, trading when the ability is down. Yes, she tanks this damage, but doesn't retaliate while Zoe's Q is down, just continues to CS, giving Ariana a much easier time. Okay, speeding it up while Zoe continues to order the wave, throwing in just one Q to thin it out and keep it under control. The main thing on Ariana's mind at this point is to get level 3 fast on this third wave to really turn up the tempo once skilling up his E. Nocturne arrives and LeBlanc just uses her W, so they go in, but this is why Nocturne doesn't really gank pre-6. He floats away across the lane, but what this did achieve was the opportunity to zone LeBlanc away from this cannon minion. Unfortunately, Ariana misses the cannon as well, but crucially, he did zone LeBlanc away from even getting the experience, so another win for him. We see him pull back right now to start working on the wave. LeBlanc's playing defensive, and he wants to start pushing now to get work on his original missions. Actively ordering and using a couple of Qs on the wave, it's still not enough to reverse the push, but the waves are closer to neutral as a result. Now we're seeing Ariana take a trade that is usually a pretty bad idea on most champions, as his Q is currently down and he's walking into minions. But if you're Zoe with a barrier picked up, ignite ready, and another spell available on the ground next to you, you can just go for this, as we see he does here. The important thing to think about here, regardless of what champion you play, is how these moves change the minion wave. Because it's aggroing the blue minions, they're attacking Zoe, while the red minions are hitting the blue wave. This turns the tides and gets Zoe's wave pushing, which is ideal as he looks to get aggressive and start acting on mission 1. Alright, we've learned a lot about minion wave control and dynamic missions so far. Let's speed it up while they pick up their last hits. Zoe has a level lead at the moment thanks to the Cannon XP denial from earlier. She's also gotten rid of Leblanc's potions, with 2 charges of corrupting left for herself. A second later, we see Ariana ward the brush and will now play to the side of his ward to evade being ganked too easily. Leblanc also uses her W onto the wave in this moment. This is Zoe's trigger to go for a new mission, having played so well previously. Go for an all-in. While Leblanc's main damage and only mobility is down, Ariana grabs a couple of last hits and then moves in. What he was going for here was a very aggressive trade where he can either send Leblanc home to recall or even land a kill. The point is, with Leblanc's main ability down, there's nothing to worry about in the 1v1. Though, with no eyes on Talia, it's fair to say that there is a possibility of her helping out. But being 3-0 down as a team, Ariana needs to make plays and carry with this lane dominant champion. Anyway, Zoe drops her redemption and moves in. Zoe doesn't hit the bubble, but here's something that you all want to pay attention to. Notice how Zoe uses corrupting as he goes for the all-in. Why do you think that is? Alright, bonus points to those who got this. When you have corrupting potion active, it means that your autos will also apply a burn effect to the target, burning over time, lasting for 3 seconds. So when Leblanc's passive procs, the Leblanc has the visible corrupting potion burn on them, and we can know that it's the real Leblanc. This also works the same for Shaco Clone. Anyway, as we can see, the real Leblanc is clearly the one closest to Zoe, and Ariana can keep going without delay. We also see Talia coming up here for the counter. Let's see what happens. So this was some nice play from Ariana. A little bit late on the flash as the ignite would have finished Leblanc, but got the job done regardless. You may be asking yourself that this was a risky play that only just paid off, as he went for the all-in without vision on the jungler. This was certainly a risk, but Ariana felt pressured because his team was losing and he knew that he would win the 1v1. He also played to the side of his ward and suspected that Talia would be topside. He wouldn't have went for this if he thought that Talia was bot side and Leblanc had her spells up. Sometimes you just have to go for it and make plays, even if they're not guaranteed to score results. Looking at our original missions, it's safe to say that this lane didn't go as planned. But what we can say is that the way Ariana dynamically played around Leblanc's positioning and mistakes accelerated his game plan to scoring a kill by 4 minutes. And remember, this was versus a double Doran's Ring First Blood Leblanc. Let's get you today's takeaways. Ariana started the game looking to push the wave to the tower for free harass and last hit punishment. But Leblanc's aggressive positioning and poor trade execution allowed him to land his Qs even with the minions available to protect Leblanc. This allowed Ariana to constantly hit the champion and not the wave, accelerating his aggression. To the point when he was online with level 3 and he really pushed the tempo and chipped away at Leblanc, scoring a successful all-in at level 4. Alright, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching and we'll catch you next time.